welcome to the morning show. We're coming to you today on WJOP LP Newburyport at FM 96.3 on Channel 9 and on Newburyport Community Media's YouTube channel at ncmhub.org. I'm your host, Mary Jacobsen, and I'm excited this morning to welcome representatives of the Newburyport High School Investment Club, which took first place in the high school category of the stock market game of the Securities Industry and Financial Markets Association, winning from a pool of around 900 schools, and with the backing of the Newburyport Education Foundation. So when I read about your win, I was so impressed that I decided I wanted to have you all on the show to talk about the club and how you manage that win. So let me first introduce your faculty advisor and physics teacher from the high school, Sean McCarthy. Sean, welcome, and thank you for taking time to visit the show.
Yes, hi, thanks. Thanks for having us.
My pleasure. And we have three of the club's officers here. Matt McDougal.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
And Matt Hurley.
Yep, thank you for having us.
And Stephen D'Ambrosio.
Hello there.
Thank you all so much for coming. And first of all, let me start with just a huge congratulations on this impressive win.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.
Very impressive. And I think I read that the club's only been in existence for 3 years, so that's very impressive to have a first place win against that many schools. And only the club's only third year. Maybe you could talk a little bit about winning, just how and why the club got started, Sean.
Yeah, well, I'll bring you back to the start. We were just discussing, I couldn't remember if it was 2019 or 2020, but it was 5 or so students on Zoom, so I was thinking 2020 during COVID, and they just came up to me and were like, hey, do you want to be our advisor? And I was like, sure. And each week we just discuss different stocks. They do research into companies, the financials, report back to each other, and that was the first year. And then it went into the second year where and simultaneously the crypto market was going through its boom cycle. So everybody was psyched about crypto, and there was like 30 kids at the meetings. And Carrie O'Donnell from the NEF found out, I think through a student, that this club was going on, and she was offered to help. And I was like, okay, I didn't know what that entailed basically. But then all of a sudden, all these community members from Newburyport wanted to help. It was pretty shocking. We're like 6 or 8 people who come, financial advisors, just backgrounds, careers in finance, and they're coming to meetings and helping these students along. And you had Mike Jones from the Institution from Savings, who's the CEO and president, and he makes every single meeting.
Oh, wonderful.
It's like, I'm sure he has more important things to do, but not the company. So we report to these. So
Equally
every couple
important.
of months, he comes to these meetings and offers up advice, and it's grown from there. And now we're the 3rd or 4th year, and we routinely have 30, 40 kids in a meeting. And it's all run by these guys. These guys are the brains behind it. I just sit back.
Well, that's a good gig for you then, Sean.
Yeah, it's an easy job for me.
But it was student-initiated then, which is impressive.
100%.
And it sounds as if the time was right because it just grew and garnered a lot of community interest and support. So that's very exciting.
I think there was just a surprise to the community. I think people realized there's a lack of financial literacy in our society, and people jumped in to help and throwing money at us, and these guys are managing real money.
Okay, your club's membership is going to grow with you saying that. So that's exciting.
So these guys manage actual real money through the advice of
We'll talk some more about that, but I was curious, since it was a student-initiated and is a student-led group, I just wanted to find out from each of you what made each of you become interested in becoming part of the investment club. What do you enjoy about it, and how do you feel like you benefit from participating in it? Whoever would like to start.
I'll start off. I joined in my sophomore year, which would have been the club's 2nd year. I happened to just be working at the Plum Island Grill, actually, with the current president of the club at the time. And he just sort of suggested it to me. He was like, hey, I'm the president of this club at the high school. This was when it was a little smaller, but this was when it was like starting to grow in its 2nd year. He's like, hey, if you want to come by, I'm sure you'd love it. So I showed up to one meeting, and then every meeting after that.
Okay.
And so that was my first year in the club, and I became super involved in my first year because I was friends with the president at the time, and also I was super interested in stocks, of course, on my own. So I was doing my own research, and that's when this portfolio that Mr. McCarthy was talking about came up, and they asked me for help on it. And then, so I helped. I was super involved in the club that year. And then my second year, when I was a junior, I became the president, and I'm the president again this year.
Congratulations.
So, thank you.
That's great. Wonderful. How about the others?
I also joined my sophomore year, and the reason I joined was I would always like beg my dad, like, please let me invest money, and he
How'd that go?
I mean, he's listening right now. He never let me. And, shout out, Dad. And so I wanted an opportunity to invest real money, and the investment club offered that through the NEF endowment. So that's the reason I joined, and then I loved it. Really welcoming community, and just kept getting more and more involved.
And you got to invest.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh, wonderful. And how about you?
I also joined my sophomore year, but I joined towards the end of my sophomore year, actually per the recommendation of Matt here, because I had a bunch of class with him. He's like, hey, I think you'd really enjoy this club because finance and stocks is definitely something I'm interested in and want to like pursue later. And Matt was like, hey, you should just stop on by. So sophomore year, showed up to a couple meetings and then just got more involved like through junior year and now in my senior year.
So the interest you all had met the opportunity.
Absolutely.
And the rest is history.
Yep.
And a first place win.
Oh, of course. Thank you.
Well, please tell us more about the stock market game that you won. Just, how often is it played? How is it played? And what determines the winner and who makes that decision?
Yeah. So as far as I know, I'm not certain if we did it 2 years ago, but we did it last year. We just played it the way we do anything with investing, tried to make a diversified portfolio, put a lot of work into it, but we placed like 300th or something, I believe, out of the 900 or 1,000 schools. So we weren't super happy with ourselves after that one. We wanted to do better. And then this year we decided to take a sort of go big or go home strategy because, well, with this, it's a game, so if we lose money at the end of the day, it's not a huge deal, so we took a little bit of a risk. We invested into some more volatile companies that were typically around crypto, which I believe that was what that article was written about. So we invested in Coinbase, Marathon, and another crypto mining company. Just went heavily into those at the start of the year, went all in, and we just sort of watched that. We just rode that to the end, and just watched it grow.
Wow.
And I believe the winner, of course, is picked by just whoever's portfolio grows the most amount. So that's why we took that sort of risk for the higher chances of making more money, and that's what ended up working out for us in the end.
It was a winning strategy.
It was a winning strategy, absolutely.
You can't win if you don't play or take
Absolutely.
risks.
Yep.
That's what the stock market is all about. So
Just to add something, so it's a semester long, but
Yeah.
we came in 300th the first semester, and then we were third the second semester, and then or the second time we did it, and now we were first. So, and
Exponential growth.
Currently, I checked.
that, by the way, Sean, is a steep rise.
Yeah, and cheese guys. Yeah. But currently, I checked the other day. We've been bouncing back and forth between second and third. With another
First semester
school.
too?
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
So we
there's
just kind
time.
of put the money and forget about it, and then
Yeah.
check in every once in a while.
Yeah. Well, I know from the article in the Daily News that it talked about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, and you bet big on Bitcoin. And
Yep.
part of the reason also I wanted to invite you here was I read about Bitcoin, but I'm hoping you can help me understand it better. I think a lot of people share my challenge in understanding it.
Understanding what it is.
So could you please talk about, what exactly is Bitcoin? Now, you've mentioned mining, and that's a phrase that comes up a lot, and blockchain is also a phrase that comes up a lot. So have at it.
Have at it. All right. Mr. McCarthy, I think he could do the best job explaining this in terms
great.
that are easy to understand.
These guys are super
Thank you for that.
They're into the traditional stocks, and I like Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But I think what most people don't realize is Bitcoin. There's Bitcoin, the currency, the money, which people probably know about, and the network. And people don't understand the network.
Yeah.
And so after the 2008-9 financial crisis, Bitcoin appeared. No one knows where it came from. There's lots of rumors of it being the NSA because they use some of the security from the government. But anyway, so here it is, not to go too deep into the woods, but you have this network that's a financial network, global, right? And it's not managed by central bankers and politicians and governments. It's physics. It's physics and math, which is appealing to everyone because it's open, it's honest. You cannot cheat, you cannot lie. There's no need for trust because it's physics, right? So this network, there's no, and by the way, there's no CEO, there's no employees, there's no marketing team. It just grew naturally through, word of mouth and so in that network, there's the Bitcoin, the money, right? And the money, there's only 21 million ever, so it's capped.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
So that's what gives it its value. It's absolutely scarce. You can never create more. It's kind of designed after gold, so people refer to it as digital gold.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So all the properties that are great about gold, without all the drawbacks, like it can move anywhere in the world at the speed of light.
Wow. Okay.
And there's no borders to it. No one controls it. No one can stop it. No one can censor it.
Well, how do they control that it's only that limited, that capped amount of money then? Does somebody enforce that?
No, there's millions of miners, thousands of miners with lots of mining computers. So there's all these computers that they monitor it. It's just the law.
It's kind of self-reinforcing from the users?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really
So
interesting.
every computer is reinforcing.
Yeah, like every computer is a part of the network that you trade or you mine, and it's basically that computer is doing a piece of the work to keep that network supported.
Okay.
So it's sort of just a group, like communal thing, rather than one central company that has, a huge facility that does it all.
Now, you've all used the word mining, and you have miners, and these are not men with pickaxes
These are
going
not
out in
men with
shafts.
pickaxes.
But it has something to do, from what I've read, and correct me if I'm wrong, about solving problems, solving complicated mathematical problems. Now, how does that work? How does that translate then into mining, which I take it means creating new Bitcoin,
Yeah.
creating value,
So
in other words?
Like I said, it was designed after gold, so they call it mining, which is probably a bad idea because there's a lot of negative connotations about mining, right? People think it's dirty, but it's just computers. There's no gases offput, and all they're doing it's not as complicated as you think. They're just trying to guess numbers. So all these computers are competing to guess this number, and it's a massive number. So it takes a lot of energy and a long time. And the computer that guesses it first is rewarded with the Bitcoin reward.
Okay, so they get extra value then for solving it. Okay.
And then they sell that, it costs energy, and they sell that onto the market to cover their costs, and it spreads along the world, and people exchange it.
Okay, well, thank you. It's starting to come into focus.
Yeah.
And it is just as strange as I thought it was. So, but it's good to have that affirmed.
Yes.
I don't feel as bad about finding it hard to understand now because it's very abstract.
It is. It's a new. It's like you remember the internet in the '90s, right? No, people were like, "What? Why email? What?
Right.
That makes no sense. I can write a letter." So now you have this whole new asset with no reference, and people are just trying to understand it.
And what's a blockchain then? Because that phrase comes up a lot. What's a blockchain?
So the blockchain is the computers, every 10 minutes, they solve a block of information. So it's 10-minute blocks on this chain, pictured as a chain, links of information.
So the block is like a chunk of information that gets traded in chunks, and that's why they call it a chain. Am I?
Right.
Okay.
So the idea is that every transaction on Bitcoin is open for the world to see. There's no hiding. There's no cheating. Right? So
there's no insider trading.
Absolutely not.
There can't be because of how it's set up.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
exactly.
understanding.
Yep.
Okay, the light bulbs are starting to go on.
So it's audited, the blockchain, it's audited every 10 minutes. Anyone in the world who wants to see what's going on can see.
Well, okay.
So it's attractive in that way. That it's the first honest system.
Well,
ever.
it's fascinating. It's a little hard to hold on to because it's so abstract. But the other thing I'm curious about is there's this cyber currency, and it's kind of its own world with its own rules and its own transparency. But how does it connect with the conventional, what shall I call it, money world? or can you can't go to the store and buy something with Bitcoin, I assume.
Not yet. Well,
Well,
it depends on where you go. A lot, yeah.
Well,
It's
that
sort
makes
of,
sense.
I don't know. I kind of look at it in two ways. You can look at it as an asset, like a normal stock, where it has a market cap, it has value, you can trade it, and you can buy it with the intention of it going up to sell it. But it also is cryptocurrency. So in theory, the idea of it is that sometime down the line, as people become more comfortable with it, companies will just start accepting that as a form of payment. And there are definitely companies that do that already, where, I mean, you're not going to Market Basket and paying with Bitcoin right now,
Right.
but a lot of companies
You could
online,
try, but
yeah.
You'd
like,
go home without your loaf of bread.
yeah, like Tesla tried it out for a little while where, I'm not sure if they still do it, but you could have bought a Tesla with Bitcoin.
Okay.
Well, that was like something they offered. So as companies start to add that, then it sort of turns more into the currency that it was designed to be.
Yeah, something that you can exchange for tangible things in
Exactly.
the real world.
Yep.
Okay.
and it also depends on the country, right? Like El Salvador, a couple of years ago, made it legal currency.
Did
So,
they? Okay,
you know,
I did not
Starbucks
know
is
that.
there, McDonald's is there, and every business has to accept it.
Uh-huh.
So it's, like Americans will use it because we have the U.S. dollar, which is strong, right? So we'll use it as a store value, a hedge against inflation, right?
Okay.
So where are you going to put your money? Real estate, gold, the S&P 500, and now we have Bitcoin, which outperforms all of those exponentially. But now go to a country in Africa, or say Venezuela, with hyperinflation, the currency things are tripling in price every day. It's a lifesaver for them.
Ah.
Right? Countries in Africa, it's freedom.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's the most fascinating thing I've in my lifetime.
Yeah. Everything is upside down and inside out,
Yeah.
and it's just really interesting.
And to get back to the traditional finance world is now adopting it, right? So the SEC just legalized it for ETFs. So now there's 9 companies, Fidelity and BlackRock, you probably know of,
Yeah.
several others, where you can put it in your 401k, your retirement plan, and it's become the most successful ETF in history.
Well, and I think that bit of information was critical, according to what I read about your strategy in the Daily News, that you found out about the decision about the exchange
Yep.
listing it. So tell me more about that decision and how you what kind of research you did to learn that. You must be monitoring this news all the time.
Absolutely,
So
yeah.
tell us about the kind of research that you do.
So in this case specifically, I just look, I have a ton of different subscriptions where I'll get an email and I'll just see breaking news, or I'll see it anywhere. But I think what sort of happened is through him, and also I probably saw it, reading like CNBC or the Wall Street Journal or something, I see, the House of Representatives is looking at this bill where, crypto will be legalized to make an ETF, and then you think, okay, well, how's that going to affect the crypto world? Well, as soon as it becomes an ETF, the biggest companies in the world, like BlackRock, who manages $20 trillion in assets, as soon as they want to start buying it, they can buy a whole lot of it. So that just means the demand goes way up.
And the value is gonna
the supply
skyrocket.
is stagnant. The supply stays the same. So demand goes way up, then price, you would expect to skyrocket as well. So that's sort of, just those two things combined, you just expect prices of Bitcoin to rise. And because of that also, it shows sort of a level of trust now. As soon as a company, I'm using BlackRock a lot, but they're on my mind. There's also been a lot of
Well, 20
talk about
trillion
them.
would kind of,
Yeah, 20 trillion.
which is hard to even imagine.
Yeah, they manage an amount of value would be the third biggest economy in the world.
Wow,
It's
yeah.
a little insane. But as soon as they start buying it, that makes the average person start to say, oh, if this company is buying it, well, I feel I have more trust to buy it myself.
Yes, right.
So our strategy, we went like buying Coinbase. That's an app or an exchange where you go onto Coinbase and you can purchase. That's a way to purchase crypto.
Yeah.
So we said, crypto's going up, people are using that more, and then all those prices will rise, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I think that makes our club rather unique, is that at every single meeting we give, if they want every single student an opportunity to talk about stocks or crypto or whatever. So if they're interested in something, they see something like where Matt saw that it looked like Bitcoin was going to rise, they can bring that up at the meeting and suggest that we invest in that, and then we'll have a discussion about it.
Absolutely.
So everybody can participate in how you formulate the strategy.
Exactly.
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
At the start of the challenge, we had maybe 2 or 3 meetings in a row where we were talking for, a majority of the meeting about, like, oh, what do we want to invest in? What should we look at? Things like that,
Yeah. Well, it was a good bet, as it turns
Absolutely.
out. But what I'm learning from you is it was a bet that was based on sound fundamentals.
Absolutely.
Because of the research that you did.
Absolutely.
And the sense that, with this this opening on the stock exchange, there's going to be, first of all, a lot of publicity about that. And I think it's pretty much true that people like some company when they make a bet. And so if you find out, what you're saying is you find out that a lot of other people, it's growing, interest in it is growing, confidence in it is growing, and as that confidence grows, more people are going to want to be part of it.
Absolutely.
And you just hope it's not a tulip mania like the 1600s. Because people grew, same thing happened then, but with adverse outcomes over time. But, well, I'm curious to find out, let me stop and just say thank you so much.
Of course.
The outcome I hope for from inviting you on this show, in addition to congratulating you and learning about the club, is that I now understand better what Bitcoin is and what mining is, and even what a blockchain is. So thank you for that. And you were all very good at explaining it too. So tell me about, I think as a club you also make, I'm going to call them real investments. I understand now that Bitcoin is real. Yep. It's just different. But you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, there's real money.
More familiar forms of money.
More traditional, we can say.
Thank you. Yes,
Absolutely.
more traditional. Less innovative, we can call it now even. In addition to Bitcoin. And please tell us how that works. And how are those investments doing?
Absolutely. So we, out of the kindness of the Institution for Savings and the NEF, we were given $40,000 where they said, $40,000, we want you to act as if you are, a company. They want us to act super professionally as if we're investing this money on behalf of somebody else, which is exactly what we're doing. And they said, $40,000, we want you to invest it. We want you to go to meetings. We want you to come up with a plan, a strategy. Then we go meet with the NEF, Institution for Savings, and we say, those were the people that Mr. McCarthy was talking about earlier. And we go to them, we have a slideshow, we say, we want to invest in this company for this reason. So, for example, we say we want to invest in Apple. We do research, we come up with a presentation on why Apple's a good investment. It's a blue chip stock, $3 trillion market cap, it's just expected to keep growing. Yeah. They come up with phones, everybody knows Apple.
Yep.
So we have a presentation on that, and then we say, hey, this is why we want to invest in Apple, and they'll respond to us. They'll say, I like that idea, I don't like that idea, here's the issues, here's what we like, here's what we don't like. And then through that, we sort of end up having a conversation, and they help us out, we make decisions, and then if they finally approve it, we're allowed to invest. And
that's so
exactly
exciting.
It's a fun time.
You must feel like, so Dad, look what I'm doing now. And then you track how it does.
Absolutely, yeah.
And presumably you buy and sell if needed as you track how the investment is going. And how is it going?
It's going pretty well. We outperformed the S&P 500, which is the benchmark. That's what our goal is to do, is to outperform that. So we're happy to say that that's what we did. And
congrats on that. That's
thank
great.
you. Yeah. We haven't really been in the selling. We've been buying. We take our time with it. It's a slow process because we meet twice a year, and we take our time. It is real money now, so we want to make sure we're doing everything, in a super foundationally secure sort of way.
Yeah.
Something else we recently instilled for that as well is we have a board of people that they came to us, investment club members. They came to us and they wanted to get more involved in the actual portfolio management of that endowment. So what we do is now some students, if they want to get involved, anyone's welcome to do it. They just have to talk to us. They can stay after the meetings and put some more work into that endowment, and then hopefully they'll be able to come with us and present to the NEF and the other financial advisors as well. This May is when we're doing it next.
So it's open source, so to speak.
Yep. In the past couple of years, it has been more of I'll go to a couple meetings a year and say, let's talk about what we want to invest in. People show up with ideas, give me some reasons, and then we would sort of take that and then work with that and go present and now we want to sort of change it where it's, hey guys, these are the guidelines, this is what we've been doing, go ahead and see what you can do as well. And then have different people presenting and make it even more of a group experience.
Well, that's just so exciting. It just sounds like such a wonderful and adventurous club
Thank you.
to be part of, and such a great real-world experience.
Exactly.
And that was something else I wanted to ask you your thoughts about, because, Sean, you mentioned this earlier, that there isn't traditionally a lot of financial or investment kind of education, at least not at the at the high school level.
Right. Yeah, we have a class or two, a financial math, I think, but in general,
And you're creating these opportunities for your own self-education and also application, which is such a great way to learn. So I wanted to ask you to talk about how important do you all think it is, given your experiences and what you've learned through the club, how important do you think it is for students, the high school students or even younger ages, to learn about financial markets, and why?
I think it's crucial. I think that's probably the biggest thing that'd be missing from our traditional education system right now. Me and Steven actually took that financial math class he was talking about last semester. So it was a semester long. We learned about taxes, we learned about real estate, we learned about a lot of very important things. But that was one class that we elected to take. Yeah. And I imagine maybe 60 students take that in their senior year each year. And I think there's just a huge lack of, well, what about the other 140 kids in our grade? And I think that just making sure that people have all the information they need to, not just investing, which I think is super important, but just personal finance as well.
Yes.
The amount of people that I know who, don't know how to file their taxes, don't even know what they're being taxed on, don't know where their taxes are going. Don't even know, how our money system works. I think that's just a huge issue that, in my generation needs to be solved, especially before people, start taking on loans, going to college,
Absolutely.
and start living in the real world. So that's something we also try to work on.
Yeah.
Another benefit I see is just the earlier you can get started investing, the better. And so, like, if you start, like, if you work a part-time job as a high school student, or maybe once you turn 18 or whatever, if you can immediately start investing that money, even just into the S&P, like, it is shown that it will grow, and it will grow exponentially over the years. So it's super important to start young.
Long term, it's the best bet you can make.
Absolutely.
That's what my financial advisor is always reminding me of. Whenever I get nervous, he says, no, Mary, long term, you'll win.
If I started investing, say I started investing when I was 14, but technically you need to be 18 to start your own account without a parent. And if you start investing at 18 versus starting investing at 28, that could be a 10-year difference in when you retire.
Right, that's right. That makes it vivid.
I think they say that I don't know if this is just a story or not, but the best performing portfolios are, say, Merrill Lynch, are someone who died, left it to their kids, and the kids just left it there.
Absolutely.
It's just time. Give something time, and it.
Compound interest is just the theory of compound interest is just what makes it. Once you go long term, compound interest just seems like it just takes over and you just grow. The first 10 years go slow, and then it's just like that. It just, it's amazing.
But knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
Yep.
And sometimes knowledge is wealth.
Yeah, in this case, yeah.
And wealth is security. So we could keep that going in the blockchain. But it's how the world works. And it's a fundamental part of what kind of possibilities you can create for yourself in life.
Absolutely.
And so I think that it's wonderful that you're all gaining this kind of knowledge and experience in high school, and you can carry it forward.
Absolutely.
And what I notice as you talk about it is the enthusiasm for learning and the fun you're having.
Absolutely.
Which is self-reinforcing, isn't it? You'll carry that forward, because I think the reason a lot of people don't learn, even after they've graduated from college and found their first job and have the opportunity perhaps to have some money to invest, is it scares them.
Yeah.
And they don't know what to do.
Exactly.
And so they tend to shy away from it or just avoid it. And I think that what I take from the way all of you are talking is that you've become confident investors already, because you know what to do.
Exactly.
You know how to do the research. You know how the markets work, you've had the experience of finding out that you can make good investments, and it works out well.
Yeah, these guys are on a whole different level. They're, Matt's been here the longest, and just the experience with the portfolios and working with Mike Jones and the financial advisors. But what's great about the club, from my point of view, is freshmen are coming in, people are just coming in, and these guys are throwing, terms like, what is a stock? Like bear market, bull market,
Right.
Interest.
Right.
And the more these kids just hear these things, and then they start to understand it, and they come to more meetings, and then they have a picture. And then we play another game, or they play this game on Market Watch, where they'll do a month or 2 weeks or a couple months and give everybody $100,000. Do what you can. Let's see who wins. And they'll give out gift cards and they'll each week talk about what company and why.
Yep.
And if you're just coming in, you're just absorbing information that you would never get.
Yeah. And that's really a wonderful outcome.
Yep.
Just to have the familiarity and that confidence to go forward.
It's like I have a younger brother, and I give some of the presentations and like what is a stock, all those simple things. And I remember my brother joined the club as a freshman. He had no idea. He was learning all those things, and now he's going to be on the board next year. And I'm excited. Like, he's literally going to be teaching the same things that we taught him to the next class, which is something that's really cool.
Yep.
So your dad has two of you now. Well, I know you're all seniors, because we were talking about that before the show. And you're going to be business majors, I think. And are any of you thinking about becoming venture capitalists or working in the financial industry?
I'd like to hear this. I have another brother, an older brother, and he's graduating from Babson College this year, and he's going to be working as a venture capitalist.
Oh, so it's going to be a family tradition. How about the others?
Yeah, I'd say actually one of my favorite things about my experience with the club is coming into high school. My brother, my mom, and my dad are all engineers. Coming into high school, I thought, maybe I'd end up being an engineer in college. And then through the investment club, I was like, wow, I love this. This is something I really like doing. So that kind of guided me onto choosing to be a finance major. And I think that's something for a lot of people. I tell people that all the time, like, hey, if you think you want to be a business major in college, why not get a taste of it now before you have to commit to something?
And that's also the exact reason I joined too, is because I'm pursuing economics after high school, which, although not finance, I still think that the investment club has like major applications to that in terms of things like that. So I thought that was a just really good opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. Well, it's been really fun to talk to you, but before we end, Sean, you have some breaking news. Rarely do we get to have breaking news on the morning show, so I'm excited. Bring it on.
I kind of gave these guys a heads up already.
Go ahead and look surprised anyway.
It's from Mike Jones, the president of the Institution for Savings, and he wanted to congratulate everyone for the win, beating over 900 schools.
Yeah.
But he's also announcing that he's donating another $5,000 to the club.
Yep, and that's amazing.
And
so, thank you, Mike Jones, for that donation. That's huge. Thank you to the writer of that newspaper article that got the word out, that inspired this.
Absolutely.
And all the community members that have been. It's amazing how much support this club has gotten.
Well, it's a wonderful story.
Thank you.
And it's wonderful. It's inspiring to see that it grew from student interest, and it spreads from one student to another, and it's had such positive benefits for all of you. And I mean, and not just succeeding and winning a game, although that's always fun, but also the confidence building,
of course,
and the passion building, because that to me is what really stands out. It's just how engaged you are. You found something that's really fun for you and that you love to learn about, and that is a survival skill in life.
Absolutely.
So, well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's wonderful to end with that breaking news. You have more money to invest. Get to work.
Gonna be working hard on coming up with what to do with that.
I'm sure you'll find good things, and maybe there'll be some more Bitcoin.
Could be.
There's some ETFs, Bitcoin.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you all. It's been really fun to talk to you. I appreciate your coming on the morning to share your win and to share your experiences and your passion. It really is inspiring.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you.
Totally my pleasure. Well, that's it for today's morning show, everybody. Please join us again next Thursday at 9 for the morning show. Till then, be well.